All right, thank you, Troy. Let's come to order. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. I know we ran long, but as you can see, these are business meetings. This is the work of the county, so thank you very much for your patience. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, turning to the county attorney for certification of the agenda.
The county attorney's office has reviewed all items on the agenda. You have appropriate jurisdiction over all these matters, and where necessary, appropriate posting or notification was given.
Thank you, Counselor. Do the commissioners have any disclosures to make for any items on this agenda today?
I have none, thank you.
I have no disclosures. I do need to leave this meeting at 4:45.
Okay, let's try to get you on time then, Commissioner.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I do not have any disclosures for any items on the agenda, so let's go right into our land use meeting agenda items. First item up is a waiver of central service requirements in the Commercial C-Zone District, Wenzel Commercial Park, Lot 3, project file is SP 2023-103. Eric Pavlinik, Principal Planner, Community Development.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Eric Pavlinek, representing Planning Services. The project before you is a request for a waiver from the zoning resolution. The project number is SP 2023-103. The applicant representative, CJ Kirst of Tahoe Consulting, is here, as well as the property owner, Denise Marshall of Unalark Properties, LLC. The request is a waiver to Section 1206 of the zoning resolution, which requires that all uses in the commercial zone district shall be served by central water and sanitation facility. The applicant has an administrative SIP application for the development of the lot, which is Lot 3 in Wenzel Park, or Commercial Park, for a pub and coffee cabin, which is currently in process. The applicant representative asserts that central water and sewer service is not available, feasibly extended to the property, and the site can be adequately served by an existing shared well, a new well, and a septic system. The site is located in Franktown, just east of State Highway 83 and State Highway 86. The property is zoned commercial, which includes a pub and coffee establishment. Here's an aerial view of the lot, which is shown in red. The property has been used for a residence and most recently a small office. The waiver process is set forth in Section 122 of the zoning resolution, which is outlined on this slide. This slide depicts the proposal, which shows the SIP, as indicated earlier, which is still in process. The first phase will be the drive-through coffee cabin, which no well or water or sewer connections are proposed for the initial use. This slide shows the applicant's estimated water demand for the use on site, 0.67 acre feet a year, or 816 gallons per day. The demand can be served by a well and septic. The Colorado Division of Water Resources reviewed the applicant's water demands and has no objection as long as they agree to the terms of the well permit. These are the approval standards, which are listed in the staff report and are shown on the slide. In the absence of a water and sanitation district, the proposed use may be served by individual wells and a septic system. Should the board find that the approval that the waiver standards are met, staff proposes the following conditions to be included in the motion. Condition number 1, prior to building permit issuance for the pub, a well permit shall be obtained for a new well to be drilled to the Denver Aquifer to meet the estimated water demand for project SP 2023-103. Condition number 2, prior to building permit issuance for the pub, a septic use permit shall be obtained from the Douglas County Health Department for an upgraded on-site wastewater treatment system to meet the sewer demand for the project. SP 2023-103. Condition number 3, all other standards, requirements, and permits associated with the proposed SIP application shall be met prior to final approval. Condition number 4, any proposed changes to the site that increase water demand shall require a subsequent waiver from the central water and sanitation requirements. And condition number 5, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public meeting and or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of such commitments and promises. The board determination of a waiver request is noted on the slide. This concludes my presentation. CJ Kirst is here to answer questions if you have any.
Be happy to hear from the applicant.
Commissioners, CJ Kirst, Tahoe Consulting, 5730 East Otero Avenue, Centennial, Colorado, 80112. Thank you, Eric. We've been working extensively with the Planning Department and the Health Department to make sure that we can provide the necessary septic and on-site water through a new well. Believe we're at a point now where everybody's in agreement that we've got that necessary capacity for our use, and the fact that there just is no central water and sewer anywhere near is really dictating the necessity for this waiver request. But again, feel very good about the efforts we've made to date to get the necessary water and sewer service on site.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kirst. Questions for staff or the applicant from the board?
I have none.
I have none either, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any. I mean, it's pretty obvious. This is well, we all know Franktown well. It's a rural location, so no questions. Let's go ahead and open the floor for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment on this waiver request? Seeing none in the room. Troy, do we have anybody online who would like to make public comment?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you. Before we go to commissioner comments, applicant, one more time, Mr. Kirst, can I ask you to come forward one more time? And Eric, can we get the conditions back up, at least the first two? So there are 5 conditions as annotated in the staff report. Do you accept them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. You may be seated. What is the pleasure of the board?
I have a motion to approve a waiver of central services requirement in the Commercial C Zone District, Wenzel Commercial Park, Lot 3, because it does meet all of the approval criteria with 5 conditions as presented, project file SP 2023-0-103.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? This is fine by me. I mean, it's a rural area. We know there's a lot of interest in the community to keep Franktown rural. It sounds like a neat amenity that sounds like the applicant is willing to do the extra work in order to bring the site up to standards that are demanded. If there are no further comments by the board, let's have the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that waiver is approved. Congratulations, and I think we'll see you again sometime. Moving on to our next item is Cadian South filing 4, final plat. Project file is SB 2023-036. Mr. Pavlinek, once again.
Good afternoon again, Commissioners. Eric Pavlinek, representing Planning Services. The project before you is Canaan South Filing 4, final plat. The project number is SB 2023-036. The applicant, Richard Cross, is here, as well as his consultants. The request is a final plat for 153 single-family residential lots, 1 superblock lot, and 6 tracts, and public roads on approximately 520 acres within Canaan South. The intent of the final plat process is to provide a review of the final engineering plans, the subdivision improvements agreement, public dedication, and other legal agreements, as noted on the slide. The final plat process begins with the submittal of an application. Following a review period by referral agencies and the public and final acceptance of all engineering plans, a request is considered by a board at a public meeting. No public comment was received from the abutting property owners or members of the public. Most referral comments were standard in nature and focused on easements, agreements, and other improvements necessary to construct the final plat. Since the writing of the staff report, the Colorado Division of Water Resources provided an additional letter providing a favorable review of the water supply and noting the requirement for the abandonment of the 2 existing wells within the bounds of the plat, which is a condition of approval. You just received that formal letter. The site, identified as a red star, is located immediately southeast of Crowfoot Valley Road between the towns of Cass Rock and Parker. Zooming in red, the parcel is part of the Cannon South Plan Development. This is an aerial view of the property. As background, the PD was approved in 2004, and the first replat and preliminary plan were approved in 2006 and 2007. The preliminary plan for this application was approved in 2023. The applicant agreed to consider adjusting the buffer between the existing homes within the community. The proposed final plat reflects that it was adjustments made by the developer and were agreed to at the last board hearing. This shows the exhibit, the final plat exhibit. Lots are here, and this is the area that they increased the buffer. The applicant has a brief presentation and could go into further detail on that. Next slide are some site photos. This is a view from Furvid Street looking east. Or sorry, yes, looking south. And then the next one is from Furvid looking east. These are the approval standards for a replat or for a final plat application. Should the board find that the final plat meets all the approval criteria, staff proposes the following conditions. Condition number 1, during construction activity within the development, the applicant's successor and assigned shall take all reasonable care to watch for historic resources, paleontological resources, and other cultural history resources, and shall immediately notify Douglas County and complete appropriate Colorado Office of Archaeological and Historic Preservation data management forms in the event of such discovery. Condition number 2, during construction activity within the development, the applicant, its successor and assigned shall conduct a burrowing owl study if any earth moving will take place between March 15th and October 31st. Condition number 3, Colorado Parks and Wildlife literature shall be made available to both prospective homeowners and homebuyers regarding the existence of wildlife in the area and how to minimize conflicts. Condition number 4, immediately following recordation of the final plat, deeds shall be recorded to correct ownership of lots and tracts based upon the approved plat. Condition number 5, upon recordation of the final plat, the applicant shall plug and abandon the Colorado Division of Water Resources well permit numbers 90929 and 35008, and shall provide evidence that this process has been completed prior to issuance of the first residential building permit within the final plat. Condition number 6, prior to recordation, technical corrections to the final plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. And condition number 7, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public meeting and or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon the Board of County Commissioners. In approving the application, therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of such commitments and promises. This slide shows the board's parameters for action on a final plat request. This concludes my presentation. As mentioned earlier, the applicant has a brief PowerPoint.
All right, Mr. Cross, for the applicant.
Mr. Cross actually tagged me in. I'm Alan Cunningham with PCS Group, 200 Kalamath Street, Denver, 80223. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thanks for allowing us to be here. As you'll recall, we met with you almost 6 months ago to the day with the preliminary plan number 2 hearing. And so during that hearing, we were asked to consider what we could do, look at some alternatives to change the plan to increase the buffer between one of the existing cul-de-sacs within the community and the newly proposed lots. So I'll be super brief and just show you how we worked through that. Thank you to your staff. They were great. We worked through kind of just the engineering issues and what we could do within this plat. So with me today also are Richard Cross with the ownership group with Hines, Brian Moss with Cover 3 Engineering, our civil engineer, and Lindsay Lida, representative from Otten Johnson, our land use attorney. So I have 2 simple slides for you. This was the area that was in question that day. As you recall, during that hearing, we talked through the evolution of this plan over time and platting of those lots and compliance with the PD and all of those things. And there were comments, public comment during that from mostly residents of Bivouac Point, concerned with the proximity of the proposed lots on the parallel cul-de-sac there. It's hard to read, but on there, that dimension between those lots was 125 feet plus or minus with those. And so as we worked through that plan, the board approved that preliminary plan on that day, thank you. But you did ask us to look at some of those other considerations and what we might be able to do. And so we did do that. We worked through with staff, and what we came up with to reconfigure this, as you can see here, we relocated 2 lots from this filing into a future filing, which will come before you in preliminary plan 3, and they were relocated far to the north in a part of the community that's as of yet still undeveloped, kind of up north of Long Story. And so excuse me, with removing those 2 lots from the filing, it gave us a little more room. We were able to remove that cul-de-sac, as you can see, and we fronted the lots up along Furvitt Street. And so in doing so, we went from that, what was 125 feet previously on the buffer, we've got that up to 160 feet now in terms of that separation. And then equally as important, we were able to remove the cul-de-sac. And so that cul-de-sac had extended down from Furvitt Street into the open space a little over 300 feet. We were able to pull that back, and by fronting the lots on Furvitt, those are 118-foot deep lots now. So we gained back almost 200 feet there of where the cul-de-sac was coming down into the open space. So the combination of those 2 things, we're happy we were able to work through and get the engineering and everything to work and to provide the larger buffer that we were asked to consider that day. So with that concludes my brief presentation. And as mentioned, we have members of our team here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, before I open it up for questions from the board, my question is, you have 7 conditions on this approval. Does the applicant agree to all 7?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Let's open it up to questions from the board for staff or applicant.
I don't have any questions. We've been following this project, obviously, for a long time. Certainly appreciate the application and the comments.
Thank you.
Not really a question. When I read through it, I noticed that there were 2 lots here that you got rid of, and that was your commitment when you were here before us last time, so I appreciate you doing what was asked of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have no questions for Mr. Cunningham or Pavlinik. So let's open it up the floor for any public comment. Is there anybody who would like to come forward and make public comment on this final plat? And seeing none in the room, Troy, do we have anyone online who would like to make comment on this filing?
No online comment, sir.
Okay, very good. Bringing it back to the board for additional comment or any action at the pleasure of the board.
And just to confirm, did we get approval of the conditions?
We did, yes.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve Canyon South Filing 4 final plat because it does meet all of the approval criteria with the 7 conditions as presented. Project file SB 2023-036.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you to the applicant. We always ask and expect the residents of Douglas County to be good neighbors to each other. That really does extend to companies that are coming in, looking to build new neighborhoods. I appreciate you being good neighbors to the neighbors who are already there and, responding to their requests with action. That's great. That's That's what I like to see when developers come before us, and I personally think it makes for better neighbors and neighborhoods moving forward. Any further discussion? We'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that is, that final plat is approved, unanimous. Congratulations. Okay, moving forward to our public hearing, we have one agenda item. We have Castlewood Canyon Estates Minor Development Final Plat. Project file is SB 2023-045. Carolyn Washi Freeland, Senior Planner, Community Development, presenting.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carolyn Washi Freeland, representing Planning Services. This item before you today is the Castlewood Canyon Estates Minor Development Plat. The project number is SB 2023-045. Kevin Wyckoff is here as the applicant. The applicant is requesting approval of a minor development plat to subdivide a 21.9 acre parcel into 4 single-family lots and 1 tract. The single-family lots range in size from 4.5 acres to 6.4 acres. The intent of the minor development is to provide a streamlined review process for the creation of 10 or fewer single-family residential lots. The minor development process begins with the submittal of an application, following by comments by staff. The request is forwarded to referral agencies. At the beginning of the referral period, courtesy notifications of an application in process are sent to abutting property owners. Staff further analyzes the request, and the applicant is provided the opportunity to address any issues identified through the referral period. Public notice is provided and the request is heard by the Planning Commission prior to consideration by the Board of County Commissioners. Referral comments were standard in nature and have been addressed through various revisions to the exhibit. The Franktown Citizens Coalition questioned whether the project met the density limitations of the rural residential district. The rural residential district has a maximum gross density of 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres. The subdivision meets the standard with a gross density of 1 unit per 5.4 acres. During the process, staff received 1 public comment from an abutting property owner concerned about the proposal's impact on the rural character of Franktown. 3 public comments were received in support of the proposed subdivision. The applicant provided a written response to our referral comments and public comments provided. The Planning Commission heard the proposal at a public hearing on April 15th and unanimously recommended approval by a vote of 5-0. No members of the public spoke in response to the application. The project area shown here in the red star is in the eastern portion of the county and is generally located in the southwest of the intersection of State Highway 83 and 86 in Franktown. The project area outlined in red is located within the Franktown Village area of the Franktown Rural Community of the 2040 Comprehensive Master Plan. The property is zoned rural residential. The project area is outlined in red. The applicant is in the process of constructing a single-family home on the proposed Lot 1. The property is currently an unplatted meets and bounds parcel, which was originally zoned residential in 1955. In 1982, the property was classified as rural residential as part of a countywide zoning effort. In 2023, the applicant purchased the property and began construction of a single-family residence and submitted the request for a 4-lot subdivision. Here's the minor development plat exhibit showing the 4 new single-family residential lots, which will range in size between 4.5 acres and 6.4 acres. Lots will take access from a private shared cul-de-sac roadway connecting to State Highway 83. All lots will be served by individual well and septic systems. No build zones, shown here in brown, are established on all of the lots to preserve historic drainage patterns, steep slopes, and floodplain areas. General purpose utility easements will be dedicated to the county, as well as a 35-foot tract shown in blue for the future widening of State Highway 83. The county will convey the tract to CDOT upon request. This view is looking north from the entrance to the project area. The applicant has begun construction of a single-family lot on the proposed Lot 1 location. This view is looking south just west of State Highway 83. This photo looks east of the project area from the proposed cul-de-sac connecting to State Highway 83. The Arrow Point subdivision is located to west. Finally, in this photo, the view is looking through the site. Cherry Creek is located just past the west property line, and the property is surrounded by large residential lots, rolling hills, pine trees, and other natural vegetation. The approval standards for a minor development request are set forth in Section 603 of the subdivision resolution and listed on this slide. Staff's assessment of the approval standards are discussed in detail within the staff report. All engineering reports, studies, plans, and the subdivision improvements agreement have been approved. Staff has evaluated the minor development in accordance with Article 6 of the subdivision resolution. Should the board find that the approval standards for the minor development plat are met, the following proposed conditions should be considered for inclusion in the motion. Condition number 1, prior to recordation of the minor development plat, the applicant shall provide a declaration of restrictive covenants reserving the water beneath the property for the benefit of future landowners within the subdivision. Condition number 2, prior to recordation of the minor development plat, the applicant shall obtain final approval of the state highway access permit for the subdivision. Condition number 3, prior to recordation of the final plat, the applicant shall pay $750 to Douglas County for cash in lieu of parkland dedication. Condition number 4, prior to recordation of the minor development plat, the applicant shall pay $1,500 to the Douglas County School District for cash in lieu of school land dedication. Condition number 5, during construction activity within the development, the applicant, its successors, and assigns shall take reasonable care to watch for historic resources, paleontological resources, and other cultural history resources, and shall immediately notify Douglas County in the event of such discovery. Condition number 6, prior to recordation of the minor development plat, the technical corrections to the final plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. And finally, proposed condition number 7, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during their public hearing and/or agreed upon to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 604.08 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the parameters of the board's recommendation of a minor development request. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for questions regarding the staff report. Otherwise, Kevin Wyckoff is here to answer any questions you may have on the proposal.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Wyckoff.
Commissioners, appreciate the time this afternoon. I also have my engineer online to answer any questions if there's any questions you guys have. I don't have a presentation for you, just quick history. We bought the land to build our own family home. I'm planning on being here for quite a while, and we've been residents of the community, my wife and I together, for 15 years and previous and yeah, long time before that. So the whole intent and idea behind this project is to buy land. We bought it specifically for the rural residential zoning and the possibility of being able to build a small, close-knit community where us and our family and friends can build homes and have somewhere that we can call home and have our own, kind of neighborhood. So that's the intent. That's the idea behind all of this. That's why I've been pushing on it and trying to get this work. I do want to thank staff, both Carolyn and Jeanette, for all of their help. It was a lot of back and forth and coordinating things and getting things adjusted. That I'm not a land developer. I'm just a guy who bought some land and wants to make it into 4 lots. And they did a really good job at helping me kind of get through that. So wanted to thank them a lot for that help along the process. But that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wyckoff. Mr. Wyckoff, there are 7 conditions, some that require financial outlay by you to the county, others that have inherent next steps. Do you accept all those conditions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Let me open it up to further questions from the board for either staff or Mr. Wyckoff. Questions from the board?
I have none.
Thank you. I do have one question. In the packet, I see a letter that apparently there's a neighbor named Mr. Wold who had a lot, and he subdivided his property and sold his lots, but he doesn't want you to do the same thing. Have you worked out an agreement with Mr. Wold or not?
Yes, I've talked to Mr. Wold quite a bit. He's the house and property that is due west of where we're building our home. So I've talked to him quite a bit, and essentially where we're at is his stance is he wants to be neighborly. He wants to be good neighbors to us as being there, and he also expressed that he appreciates and understands my rights as a property owner as he did, but essentially he just doesn't want to see it change. He's like, it's been undeveloped. I'd love for it to not be developed. He's like, I'm glad that you guys are building a beautiful generational home and going to be here, but I'd prefer it not to be subdivided. Is the stance. So we're very, cordial and neighborly, but.
And you do absolutely have the right to do with your property what he did with his? I just thought in the packet, so I thought I would bring it up.
No,
I'd also
appreciate
like
that.
to just put in the record, I thought it was interesting that Jeremy Pittman from the Castle Rock Adventist Hospital submitted a letter saying he supported this kind of development because they're looking for high-income individuals to work at the hospital, and they're looking for these kinds of properties. So I think that means this is a great opportunity for some really special people, and I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no questions at this time. I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for public comment. Is there anybody who would like to come forward and make public comment on this minor development plat? And seeing none in the room. And of course, understanding your engineer is online, but Troy, do we have anyone online who would like to speak in public comment on this matter?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you. Let's go back to the board, and what is the board's pleasure?
I have a motion to approve the Castlewood Canyon Estates minor development final plat because it does meet all of the approval criteria with 7 conditions as presented. Project file SB 2023-045.
Second?
Okay, so there's a motion, a second, further discussion? I'll just say, I commend you, Mr. Wyckoff, for wanting to provide for your family with a home. And as far as your plans to subdivide in order to build the subdivision, as you stated, first of all, it looks very limited to me. It is still meeting rural residential conditions. We heard from staff that it calculates to where it would be approved. Instances like this, even with your neighbor who wish that it would all remain the same, I thank God that we live in Douglas County where these kind of things can be done. As a property owner, you've made a decision with your property, and then you've made it clear that you intend to live there with your family. So I think it's great. I speak in favor of the motion. Any further discussion? Okay, let's go to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that's unanimous approval of the minor development final plat. Congratulations, Mr. Wyckoff. Sorry, man, that's...
Happy people here.
All right. Yeah, thank you for your patience, everyone. Hey, this concludes the business before the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners during our land use meeting and public hearing. We are adjourned.